In conversation with Maggie Hampton. What is your deaf journey, and how does it relate to your creativity? How do you feel about a Deaf Creative Manifesto for Wales, and what do you think should be included within it?
I love talking about my writing, so this is a fabulous opportunity for me to say some of the stuff. Where shall I start? I've always written. I can't remember a time when I didn't write. Since I was a little girl of about 6 or 7, I've written poetry and stories and bits of prose, and I've got stacks and stacks, and it's just something that I've always done and always enjoyed. And I think writing is a huge part of my life as a deaf person. I don't know, it is just part of me really, and I think sorry, I'm just kind of fumbling a bit about this and thinking about how it all starts to fit together. But I think what's probably key to say is that I wasn't born deaf. I became deaf when I was probably about 5 years old, after a bad case of measles, and my hearing was not diagnosed for easily another 10 years after that. People just, as I got older and my schoolwork suffered, people just thought I was a bit of a dreamer and not paying attention and all of that sort of thing, when in fact it was my increasing deafness that was causing the problem. So not diagnosed until I was 14 or 15, which had a huge impact on my schoolwork. So school wasn't really a very happy time for me. But, and it's a big but, and it's the good news thing in amongst all of this, which is that I've grown up with a love of books and of writing, and I really think that saved my life. It certainly saved my sanity a lot of the time, and I'm hugely grateful to my mum and dad for encouraging me to have a love of books and writing, because it's just one thing I've enjoyed, whatever I've been doing. You can lose yourself in a book, and you can lose yourself writing something, and it's just been invaluable to me. And I think that as a hard of hearing child who was increasingly struggling with hearing loss but not knowing, and all of that stuff about your perception of yourself and thinking you're stupid and a bit slow and something like that, just being able to lose yourself in a book and being able to write has just been the most fabulous thing, and I'm just so grateful that I've had that, because if I hadn't, I just don't know what I would have done. Now this is about one of the first experiences I had of losing my hearing when I was a little girl, but obviously I didn't know what was happening, and it's a very small thing, but it's something that's always stayed in my mind, and obviously must have been quite significant somehow, because the memory from when I was 6 years old has stayed with me. This is called 1957 Cut and Paste. This glittering sea, off innocently, could be a copy cut out with giant scissors in Bognor Regis 60 years ago and saved till now. If only I could cut and paste that day, I'd show you Mum in her flowery skirt, with tray of tea and proper cups on the beach, and Dad in his summer shirt, fast asleep. Here is me, see, nut brown, free as a bird, in pink elasticated costume, plaits tied up with ribbon bows. clearly an inspiration for Grayson. Paced in the soundscape, children laughing at water's edge as the band strikes up on the prom. Add in the greedy gulls soaring overhead, and 6-year-old me on the sand, looking at the sky, puzzled that all the gulls are silent this year, wondering why. I've got stacks and stacks of stuff that I've written over the years, a lot of it awful, a lot of it pretty awful, pretty dire, but there we go. We've all got to learn, and I still write some dire stuff, and sometimes I write some stuff that I'm a bit more pleased with. So I kind of suppose that now being in my 70s, I've had a lot of practice one way and another. But I love it, and I write a fair bit of poetry. Sometimes I use poetic form, or sometimes free verse, prose, a fair old bit, journals about different things, different sort of things that are going on in life. Sometimes just simple things like the weather, or shoes, or childhood, or the grandchildren, the animals, the garden, all of that, going for a walk. I write about all of that. When we had the pandemic, I wrote pandemic stuff too, and how it was affecting me and my family and friends. And it was, and I think especially during the pandemic, which was a huge thing for us all to get through, writing really did save my sanity. I can't tell you how important writing became to me through the pandemic. And one thing that worked really well for me is that a group of friends who every year, every summer, we go to Bardsley Island in Essendley of North Wales, and we write together for a week. And we've been doing that for about 16 or 17 years, but obviously along came the pandemic. We couldn't go to Bardsley anymore. So we decided to get together via Zoom once a week. So we had these Zoom meetings, all sitting in our kitchens and living rooms, and we gave each other writing prompts once a week. And we'd share the writing prompts, everyone write something, email it to each other, and then we'd read it out in the Zoom. And it was fabulous, and you know, we did that for 2 years. And I think all of us, in one way or another, hugely benefited from that. It was something to work towards when everything was just so vague and sometimes a bit scary. And for people living on their own, it was a time of pretty profound isolation, and writing kept us all going. It really did. And we found a way to make it accessible, and I think we worked quite creatively together, really. It was lovely. We emailed each other our poems, and we managed to get through Write the Word. We managed to, with their help, we managed to get captions on the Zoom meetings, so I could have live captions on the Zoom, and we could put our poems up into the chat box on the side of the Zoom meeting as well. We all got to be quite a dab hand at that, and we were very patient with each other. There were 3 of us who were deaf or hard of hearing, using hearing aids, 3 of us in a group of 9 women. So, you know, there were a considerable array of access needs within the group, and we managed, and we kept it going for 2 years, and I think we did brilliantly. It was fab. I can't tell you. We stopped late spring this year, because of, various things. We were all sort of getting out and about again. Some of us went back to Bardsey again. So we stopped the Zooms, but we've started them up again now. And we're all just so happy to be back in our Zooms again and doing our writing prompts. And I don't know, it was something quite precious. And out of a difficult time, we made this happen. We made it work. And it was something incredibly valuable. And I just think, if we could do it, what excuse have organisations got who don't make things accessible for deaf people? And, why is it still so difficult? Why is it still not happening? Why is it such hard work? I don't know. We can do it. Anyone can do it. All it takes is a bit of thought and a bit of planning, a lot of flexibility. Doesn't always have to be hugely costly. But I do feel, as a writer, and I don't like feeling like this, I don't even like admitting it, but I just feel that there are still so many barriers to deaf writers and poets joining in and going to a writing group and going to a festival and all of the things that a writer might want to do. If you're deaf, it's really, really hard. The issue of, is there going to be a hearing loop, and will people share their copies of their works so that I can read them at the same time? Will people speak one at a time? Will there be captions to whatever we're doing? I don't know. There are all different sorts of things that can be done that make it so much easier. But it's hard work getting that to happen, because you know that 9 times out of 10, the organisation or the organiser of whatever's going on probably hasn't thought about it. I don't know, it makes me feel tired, and it makes me feel like I don't want to make the effort because I'm tired. I've been doing it all my life. Not all my life, okay, a big chunk of my life. Working with organisations to improve access for deaf and disabled people is what I've been doing for years and years and years and years. And that's been great. It's been fabulous work, and I've enjoyed it, and it's been wonderful. But I'm tired. I don't want to keep putting in loads of effort. I've run out of effort, but I want to write, and I want it to be easy. Okay, let me give you an example. If I want to go to, let's just say a literature festival for the sake of argument. If I want to go to a literature festival, and I know there are going to be guest speakers who are wonderful people, and I just love to go and hear them talk, and I'd love to go to the workshop afterwards and all of those things. But if I go to the website of that event, I'm going to have to do some pretty deep digging into that website to find out what the access is like. And quite often, when I've dug into the website, it still doesn't give me the information that I need. Or the access might be there a little bit for some things, but not the thing I want to go to. And I get to the point sometimes where I think, I can't do it anymore. I don't know, I hate feeling like that, because I want to go and do things. I really, really do. I'm still writing, and I want to find a way of moving forward with it. I'm really happy to share my writing with my friends and family, and they seem to enjoy it, and I enjoy sharing it with them. But I want to do something a bit more, but I want it to be easier than it is. Okay, now, if after this someone comes back to me and says, oh, but we're doing X, Y and Z and la la la, you're quite wrong about this, Maggie, I will rejoice and I will say, I'm so sorry, I'm sorry for having doubted you. I'm over the moon. I will be at your festival tomorrow. I'll be there tonight. I'll be queuing at the door. All of this sort of stuff. I really will. So if anyone is out there doing all of this wonderful stuff, then great, let me know about it. But please make it easy for us to find out what's going on. Right, I've got a piece which I'm going to read to you from Becoming a Cyborg. It's a collection of writings about my experience of having a cochlear implant. This piece is about my very mixed feelings post-op and just before my implant was switched on, which is nearly 14 years ago. The operation destroyed the last remaining tiny bit of my natural hearing. It's called Crossing the Borderland. My world is shrinking. So much language and music and racket in my mind, and yet silence. A jumbo jet could land in the street and I wouldn't know. A rock band could start up in the front room and nothing. I can't reach through all that silence. Right now, I'm not even sure I want to. But tomorrow, I will be switched on. I'm becoming a cyborg. One thing I do know, regardless of how things turn out with the implant, this will be my default. This mind-boggling, quick-set, concrete silence. Take the sound processor off, and this is it. I will experience this every day for the rest of my life, all through the nights, in the mornings when I get up, whenever the batteries fail. Deep, fathomless silence. It's all unknown to me, almost like I'm being reduced back to a point from which to start again, the traveller with a lifelong journey to make. Between the impulse and the promise is the book, open at a fresh page, marked with commitment. Between the decision and the journey is the marshalling of thoughts and the knowledge, no going back. Between the planning and the execution is anticipation, how to go forward. Not one imagined outcome will be realised. Here are dragons. Here, the last chance. Go now, quickly, conscious of every step. Please have a think about what changes you can make that are really quite easily done, that are going to make a big difference to deaf writers and deaf creatives who want to get involved, because it's all doable. It really is. And I don't want to feel sort of tired and cross and fed up about it. I want to get on with my writing because I've got various ideas and pieces of work that I want to get out there before they go all stale, sitting in the cupboard and everything. The stuff I want to do. So it will be wonderful if things can be a bit different, if it doesn't have to be such hard work. Nothing in the world is new, but through my deaf eyes, a different view. Through my cyborg ears, another word to scan, the buzzing of bees to learn, the falseness of the plan I had in mind. I learn running water, clatter of keys, the archers on the radio, the crashing of trees in a gale, the wren's loud song. Do orchids make a sound when they blow in the wind? Did I get that wrong? Bees are difficult. Do they buzz differently in the morning and at sunlight's end? And does the tone of voice go up or down with the narrowing of eyes or the slightest frown? Is turning away matched with a breath or a sigh? One day, soon, I will learn the whispering of grasses. The rattle of daisies may tell me what I need to know.